OpenAI has now launched GPT Image 1.5, their most advanced image model to date, and it is now the default model for all image generation in ChatGPT. This release came with some big changes. First is the Images workspace. This is a new dedicated space for image generation, which has different presets and styles like 1980s VHS, Watercolor, Cyberpunk, or K-pop star, which allow you to get great images without complex prompting. This section also has a discovery feed where you can see other cool ways to use the model, and of course it has a library where you can see all of your past creations. And 5 of the strongest new features are more precise editing, improved generation speed, text rendering, and in general, I have seen much stronger instruction following. But I think the biggest feature that they added is one-time likeness. This is where you can upload a photo once and maintain consistent characters across every image you generate in a chat. Obviously, the most direct competition to ChatGPT Image is Google's Nano Banana Pro image model. So I wanted to test them out against each other on 10 different tests and decide which model is the best. First, we'll focus the test on what ChatGPT has said they improved on. We'll start with precise editing. The way that we'll test this is by taking a photo of me and have it make precise changes. So I'll drop in the photo and then I'll paste in the prompt, which has specific changes like make the man have a blonde mullet, a white short sleeve shirt, red sweatpants, slides with a chunky pair of glasses. And then in terms of the scene, I asked it to make the chair blue, change the rug to a hardwood floor, and make the background a wall with a creeping fig. So let's see what it comes up with. We can see they both generated pretty similar photos, but I do see some major differences. First, I think in the ChatGPT example, I don't necessarily think that my face looks as accurate as it does in the Gemini example. I also think that the scale in the Nano Banana photo definitely makes a little bit more sense, but you can see the models kind of took the background in a different way. I did ask to make the background a wall with creeping fig, and Nano Banana kind of also added the table and the window, but ChatGPT did just leave the plain wall, so I do like that. And if I had to choose between these photos, even though it might be a slim margin, I'd choose Nano Banana for this one. For the next test, we're going to look at image generation speed. For the prompt, we're going to use close-up of a fresh apple, photorealistic, natural lighting, and sharp detail. Let's see if ChatGPT really made a significant improvement on their speed. I'll click send at the same time. They both took around 10 to 15 seconds, but Nano Banana was still faster. And I think if we look at the images, they're both pretty good. I would say that ChatGPT's might be a little bit better, but Nano Banana definitely won this speed test. Now we're going to try a test that image models have notoriously been bad at, which is text rendering. And for this test, I created text that would be in like a restaurant review on a newspaper. So I'm going to have ChatGPT and Gemini try and basically create an image of a newspaper with all the text that I'm giving it. And you can see that there's a lot of text, but it does give Nano Banana and ChatGPT the ability to kind of make some creative decisions. But we'll focus primarily on how well it renders the text. And you can see in the prompt, I asked the image to be a realistic newspaper on a counter at a cafe where you're able to read the whole text. Just by looking at them side by side, they didn't mess up text generation at all. So for this one, I'll give them a tie. So now we're at Gemini with 3 points and ChatGPT with 1 point. The next test I'm really excited about, which is character consistency across multiple characters. And the 3 characters are going to be myself and my 2 dogs. So I uploaded the photos, and in the prompt, I described the scene as a dog walk in the park, and I want it to be realistic. Let's see how they do. And just by looking at the responses, Nano Banana was much better. The dogs look much more realistic to how they actually are in real life. The other one's a little more cartoonish, and I just don't think that ChatGPT was really able to capture the look of the dogs. But we're going to ask one more question to track how consistent are both of these models with the characters. The next scene is going to be a birthday party for the dogs where the dogs are in chairs looking at the cake. And once they generated, you can see that they kind of both went in different directions for the scene. But I will say ChatGPT did a better job of keeping the character consistency. You can see in the Nano Banana photo, the dog over here, Willie, is definitely not what he looks like in real life. But in the ChatGPT response, both of the dogs look exactly how they do in the photo I used for input. So for a character consistency test, we have to give it to chat. This next test will test something that these models have notoriously been bad at, specifically ChatGPT, and that is logo design. And I give it a pretty specific prompt. Design a minimalist logo for a VC firm called Launch. The logo should feature a single stylized icon of an abstract rocket ship on a solid white background with the company name and a clean modern sans serif font below the icon. Let's see how they do. And I think that they're both okay. Neither of them blow me away, so on this one I'm going to give it a tie and give them both 1 point. The next test is the most interesting. I want to see the model's ability to use real life context. So I asked it to create a photo of a Tesla Optimus robot performing maintenance on a complex piece of heavy machinery inside a SpaceX Starship factory. And I also added photorealistic wide shot. And this prompt is asking it to bring in some pretty important context, including the Tesla Optimus robot inside the SpaceX Starship factory. Let's hit send and see how it does creating the Optimus robot as well as the SpaceX factory. You can see the two photos here, and ChatGPT simply did a better job. The robot that Nano Banana made was not even close to what the Tesla Optimus robot looks like. You can see that they did use the correct logo and kind of got what the Starship looks like, but the ChatGPT response just looks way more realistic. The robot has similar features. Obviously, you still have the SpaceX logo, but also kind of what it's working on and the tools just look a little more realistic. I'm definitely giving this one to ChatGPT, which makes us tied at 4 points each. The next test is super interesting as well, is I'm having it generate photos of two famous people and seeing if it'll actually generate a photo of them or give me pause. The prompt is generate a photorealistic portrait of Elon Musk and Sundar Pichai shaking hands in front of the Eiffel Tower. Let's see how they do, or even if they do it at all. The results are really surprising. I did not think that either of these models were going to actually be able to use or create any famous people because we've seen problems with that in the past, but both of them did a pretty good job. I will say that Nano Banana's response definitely looks way more realistic and actually captures some of the details of these people's faces, while ChatGPT's response is not as realistic. So while they did both surprisingly generate a photo of famous people, I will give this test to Nano Banana because simply I think it did a much better job. The next test is website design, which is one that Nano Banana has really been excelling at. So I'm excited to see how it compares to ChatGPT. I'm asking it to create a website UI mockup for a sustainable coffee company. Let's see which one does better. The prompt also says that the design must include a navigation bar, a hero image, and a clear call to action where it says shop now, as well as a 3-column layout section below the fold. And this response might be the most surprising out of the whole test. Google's Nano Banana has been taunted about having the best UI, but ChatGPT clearly made the better one. You can see it kind of had a better navigation bar at the top. I think it shows better photos, and also the 3-column layout at the bottom just looks way better. Better logos, just everything about it is better. So now we're tied at 5-5. We have 2 more tests left. The first one is expression changes. Using a photo of myself, I want to see how good these models are at changing my expression. And specifically in the prompt, I'm asking it to make me stick my tongue out, taunting, and point a finger at the camera. Let's see which one does it better. Many models look great until they do have to change an expression. Maybe if the photo they're using is someone smiling and they have to make them frown, it kind of changes the whole complexion of their face. So I want to see how these two compare to each other on this task. While these photos are definitely a little scary, I have to give this one to ChatGPT. I think it totally excelled at the expression. Definitely changed it much more than Nano Banana, but I thought it changed it in a much more fun way. The expression is like different than the photo that I gave it, and you can see that the arm is more realistic. This one kind of just used the photo and added like an arm pointing out of the bottom, but the ChatGPT one kind of makes it look like my whole body is making the expression, which I think is much better. So now ChatGPT is winning 6-5. Let's see who takes this last one. And for the final test, I'm going to do something that's been done on image models kind of since it came out, which is changing an image into different styles. So I'm going to test 2 styles here, Minecraft and Studio Ghibli. Let's see which one performs better. So I'm using a photo of myself and I'm going to ask, make this image in a Minecraft style. For this first test, ChatGPT's is clearly better. You can see that this is much more blocky like a real Minecraft character would be, and the other one is kind of just pixelated. And now let's make it in Studio Ghibli style. After a few seconds it generated, and I think that they're both really good at capturing that style. But going back to this Minecraft one, I think that there's a huge difference in the quality of these images. So I will be giving this one to ChatGPT. And that means that ChatGPT ended with 7 points and Gemini ended with 5 points, which honestly I'm really surprised by. Google has kind of been on top of the image generation game with Nano Banana, kind of blowing everyone away. But now ChatGPT I think has really taken a step up and I think beat out Google's image model. I'll definitely start using ChatGPT much more often. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribed. And if you've used either of these models, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for tuning into This Week in AI, and I'll see you next time.